Hello and welcome to Microsoft Hates Greg. My name is Greg Deckler, and about a year and a half ago, I published this article called "Fabric Killed the Power BI Star." I know this says July 2025. That's just when I moved it over to Medium. So this was originally published in May of 2024, and so it's about a year after Fabric, has been out, and and basically the crux of the article, what it goes into, is that similar to how like Salesforce buying Tableau kind of ruined the product for a lot of people, that Microsoft was making the same kind of mistake with Fabric and Power BI, and that they were kind of ruining Power BI as a product because of their focus on Fabric. Okay, so you know that's what the article was written about, and I made a follow-up video on this channel that kind of dug into some of the data behind it and showing like the number of preview features, and that blowing up and the lack of GA features coming, out and that sort of thing. So anyway, but I was messing around on Google Trends, which I do from time to time, and I found something like, this article may have been more prophetic than even I gave it credit for. Um, and so I'll show you the data, right? And here it is. So here is Power BI, Databricks, and Microsoft Fabric as search terms, which Google Trends can sort of, emulate or be a proxy for how popular something is, right? So anyway, so I've used it in the past to do similar types of analysis and that sort of thing. But when I started taking a look at this, it started getting really, I was like, wow, that is interesting. And may actually prove out what I was saying in that Fabric really is killing Power BI. And so I did this. This is for 5 years. I also did it for 2004 to present, right? And there's this note here that they changed their analytics data collection system. So really, I would only feel comfortable with using from this line on in both of these cases, because if you're changing your collection, the way you're collecting information, it could skew the results. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do something kind of unique. I'm not even gonna pull this into Power BI. I may do that in a future video, but we're gonna use Microsoft Paint as our data analysis engine. All right, just because I think it's interesting. So let's bring this one up. This is the 5 year, and again, we're gonna go from here. So the first line we're gonna draw on this, we're gonna draw a black line. So this is the introduction of Microsoft Fabric, right? Let's try to get this as few kinks in this line as possible. We got a little one, but that's pretty close to straight. All right. And it's pretty clear. Like if we choose, I don't want to do that. All right, this Microsoft Paint can be a pain in the butt to work with once in a while. Let's do this one more time. Get this up here. There, that's even straighter. Okay, so now I got to click. Okay, now I can choose. Now I can switch my color. So now it's pretty clear that from this note, right, to here, it's gone from like this 50 line to the 75 line, right? And if you project that out, we'll project that out into the future, right? In terms of this is where it crosses the line, we'll say, right? This would be the expected trajectory of Power BI from here to when Fabric was announced. If Fabric hadn't been announced, let's say. All things staying the same, let's say, no major, things happening, we could maybe reasonably expect that something like this, right? But if you notice, like from the moment Fabric is announced, like Power BI, the interest in Power BI kind of flatlines, right? I mean, and in fact, you could even make an argument that the best fit for this data is actually a slight downward trend, right? So I would say that like your best case would be, draw this line, would be basically something like this. That would be kind of best case scenario as a curve fit for that. But it could also be, I think you could also make the argument that that's this. This is the better curve fit and it actually is trending down, right? So now what is going on with Databricks during this time, right? So let's click here, make a red. Now we click on Databricks, and I think a curve fit, right, would be something along these lines, right? So now if you notice something like with this and with this, that Databricks is going to overtake Power BI. It's just a matter of when, really, is what it looks like for me from looking at this data. And then you're saying, okay, but what about Fabric? Because Fabric would be additive. Well, okay, if we drew a line per fit through this line, Fabric isn't really making up the difference that much. Okay. I mean, again, let's draw another horizontal line here and try to get all the kinks out. There we go. There's not much of a, I mean, it's even projected out in the future. There ain't much. Okay. So now let's draw another line here. Let's go from, let's see, from right here is where our data is to when Databricks is going to overtake potentially interest in Power BI. We would draw that line. And then we're going to take this. Nope, I didn't want to do that. We're going to do this selection tool. Copy that, paste it, put it on our timeline. And we're talking about that potentially Power BI or Databricks could overtake Power BI in popularity in about a year. This is about a year and a half or so, or about maybe a year and a half or something like that, right? This is what this is, 2.5 years. So maybe a year and a half, right? It could overtake it. So we'll have to revisit this subject in about a year and a half and take a look at where these trends are in terms of, I think it would be interesting to take a look and see how this evolves, and which one of these projections is really staying, maybe all of a sudden Fabric, all of a sudden, exponentially grows in interest in that sort of stuff. Maybe it does. But I think it would be, I think, a huge deal if Databricks and Google search overtakes Power BI, because it has never even really come close. And then what would be the architect of that? Would it be Microsoft itself, like destroying and killing their own product, which I think would be a fascinating story. Anyway, so let's, I mean, you can do a similar analysis with this. Again, you can kind of see, we have to go from here, but from here until we draw our, this is Microsoft Fabric announcement, right there. And then from here to there would be the curve fit, right? Then after that, right, it's pretty much, again, you could draw this line as far as straight, or you could draw this line potentially as slightly trending down, right? And then on the Databricks side, we would have this line, even probably like this line right there, right? And then Microsoft would be Fabric, be basically this very slight trending, line going from there. So I mean, it tells the same story. If you measure from here to here, it's about the same as from here to here, right? In terms of about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, somewhere around in that time frame, that Databricks could overtake Power BI in terms of, at least on Google search, popularity, which you may or may not think means anything, right? You may or may not think that's a good, metric to use. You may think that it's it's a bias on my part, pattern bias, and I'm looking for something, so I'm seeing it in the data and patterns and stuff, and those are all very valid, points that you can make. I just, as just a, give it a thumb up, you put your thumb up and see which way the wind is blowing. I think I don't think it looks good for Power BI and Microsoft Fabric. And that Databricks is kind of like, is going to overtake them overall. And it wouldn't have happened, probably. It wouldn't have happened, right? If Microsoft, right? Because if you draw this line and this is from Power BI until the when Fabric and its trajectory, right? You're talking about, it's a long time, if ever, that Databricks ever overtakes Power BI. So I don't know. Take it for what it's worth. But this is what I've been playing. I just wanted to play around with this, and so I was just kind of thought I'd share kind of this is how a lot of times I'll initially approach like a subject like this. Just kind of like just trying to get a feel for it, and then okay, is it worth taking the next step and exporting this data, right? Because you can do that from Google Trends, exporting it to a CSV file, put it into a data analysis tool, and then really start to dig into it and see, whether my initial impression was correct or not. So, yeah, fun stuff, right? All right. Well, that's all I had for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.